So right here we have a Campagnolo Chorus 12-speed crankset, and it is the 4832 version, really cool. So some kind of subcompact chain set. Additionally, we're going to mount the Ceramicspeed bearings instead of those Chorus original bearings. So pretty sick. Also the 36 inner chain ring, and let's see if that will work with the 48. So let's go. So first we need to prepare the original chain set, of course. Let's remove the inner ring. And for all of those who don't know, we have a Torx 30 screw right here. And you hear it, it's pretty dry. It's mounted dry. And we will use some kind of mounting paste to avoid this kind of dryness that the screws have, because they can seize over time. You see we have these spacers between the chain rings. Be sure to not lose them. And I think 48 is plenty enough if you don't do any racing. I mean, on the flats you will have to spin pretty hard to spin out 4811 or even 4810 nowadays, where you have those smaller cassettes, also from Campagnolo as well. So I think with 48 plenty enough. Of course, for racing I was happy to have the 53. Sometimes we have a slight downhill and you need to catch a group, you need to catch the next rider and grab the wheel. You will be really happy to have a 53. With the 48 you will have a really high cadence, and that won't really be efficient, not really cool as well. So next we're going to go ahead and remove the bearing, of course this screw here also. And this is pretty interesting. With Chorus we have a normal thread and not a left-hand thread as we have with Super Record. So this is just something to keep in mind. It's time to use the Campi bottom bracket tool. I'm always really happy when I can use this tool, because it's it's a special tool that you don't get to use every day. You may have seen my video already how to swap out those bearings. If not, then maybe this is a first for you. Pretty cool. You see, this is the perfect size for the axle, and then you can just put the arms beneath the bearing, and like that you then can pull the bearing off the axle. You see there's a lot of grease beneath. That's actually great. It's surely some kind of mounting paste so that the bearing won't seize on the axle, because we really don't want that. And you have those additional screws right here that keep those arms nicely in place so you don't slip off. So that's pretty great. They really thought of everything right here. This is actually for park tool, this tool right here. If you want the parts number, no worries. It's the CBP8 Campagnolo crank and bearing tool set. Of course, I'm sure that nowadays we have lots of alternatives to that. Maybe even from AliExpress. I mean, AliExpress tools can be actually pretty good from what I heard. So we have the tool on. Next up is something that honestly I almost always forget, but you can still do it once you have the tool on. You have this securing ring right here that we will need to get off. You need to use some kind of plier to open it up, and then maybe a flat screwdriver to go underneath and push it up so that you can remove it just like that. I think it's already, yep, it's already loosened up. You see that ring right here, and we have this like, I don't know how it's called, notch inside the axle where it sits. It additionally secures the bearing. Then of course you just go ahead and with an 8mm hex you go clockwise, and it will pull the bearing off nice and secure without damaging it, of course, because you don't want that. Because especially this one is a new bearing that we can reuse later on, so we really don't want to hurt it, of course. Here we go. You have the securing pin and the bearing, and you see I already mounted these on Campagnolo cranksets, and those are steel bearings. Nothing wrong with that, of course, they still spin great, but they are of course of a bit inferior quality in terms of rolling resistance, let's say, friction, and also weight, although it's not a whole lot, but in percentage it will be a lot if we compare it to the ceramic bearings. What we have beneath this paste right here is the seal. See it turning right here. I think we're just gonna leave it on for now because it's, well, brand new. Ceramicspeed. Packaging nicely done. Just push like this. Actually pretty minimalistic packaging, of course. There we go, we have the first bearing. See if we compare them. They have a nice feeling of greasiness to them, and they come just the Ceramicspeed ones. You can hear it. They come completely dry. However, they spin for ages. Unbelievable. And this right here, you can't even get to spin. Of course, we'll need to put some kind of grease on them, otherwise it won't be good for them. So let's put some grease on them for first. Of course, it's good to use a ceramic specific grease. It's not the end of the world if you don't, but of course it's always better or nicer to use material specific greases, Loctites, and I don't know what else. So here you see the inside of the ceramic bearing, and as I said, they spin pretty amazingly, but we will of course protect them with some grease. And it's also clear that of course, at least in the hands, they won't spin as nicely as they done before. But really, if you spend as much on bearings that you then want to protect them, of course, unless it's race day at the Tour de France and you really want no grease at all, the best possible characteristic of rolling resistance. We put the seal back on, so they are nicely protected. And now, of course, they won't spin as nicely. The crankset is already prepared. We have paste on there, so we can put it on now carefully. And it's only now that we need to press it on, really. And for that matter, we need an over axle bearing press. I actually built some kind of system my own, and it worked great in the past. And of course, for that matter, if you've seen my first video, we had an 11-speed crank which is open right here, and this is a 12-speed one which is closed. Makes for a really nice look, of course, but the problem is, how do you press it on there, right? And my solution to do it with a vise, we may need to remove the other chainring as well. Then we can really nicely press it on. So let's do that first. Here we go, all ready. And of course, be sure to have some kind of protective things for your vise, so you don't scratch up the crankset. Of course, we also have the plastic device. Things going pretty okay. Let's check it. All right, there was like a mechanical stop. Let's check if we have the little notch for securing ring. There it is right there. So we can put on a securing ring. So what's left now for the drive side is of course a chain ring. So let's unbox our 36 tooth chain ring right here. That's it already. And I think you get a set of screws with it. And I've heard some people lost their screws on the way. It would be really nice, yeah, there we go, to have an extra set of screws, just to be sure if it should happen. But we, of course, we will mount them with some anti-seize paste, torque them to the specific spec. So I'm really confident that that will not happen in our case. First of all, in that case, the 48 tooth ring. Let's put that on. And what I use is copper paste. You may have seen in my past videos. I had really great experiences with copper paste. Screws just kept in place. They never came loose. Whether you ride in winter or in summer, where metal of course, can expand and then again retract, or I don't know how it's called, and that can cause the screws to come loose, and the copper paste should compensate for that play, for that temperature play. And yeah, for what I can say, it's done a pretty good job up until now. So let's see if that will hold as well. We have 4 screws on modern Campagnolo cranks, i.e. 12 speed, and also later generations of 11 speed cranks even. Those are really lightweight aluminum bolts, so of course you don't want to overdo it. Shimano has the same kind of lightweight screws, oftentimes also with 30mm Torx. And Shimano claims 12 to 16 Newton meters. So since I have looped my screws, I will also put 12 Newton meters on it and hope for the best. Next up, you have the spacers, as I told you before. Those you don't really need to loop, in my opinion, because they have a nice play in that notch. They won't really seize, I believe. With the 36, and you see right here this little arrow that goes where the crank arm is. Be sure to have that nicely aligned. So shifting and alignment and basically anything else will just be how it should be. Also on the inner screws, let's put 12 on. That will be plenty enough, I believe. And also do it on the over cross. Tighten this one and then this one. Here we go. Let's remove some of the residue copper paste. And there it is, the pimped Campagnolo Coros 12-speed crankset 4836. Looks pretty nice, and that shouldn't be a problem for the derailleur. So maybe it's even easier, because maybe it will even be better because the shifting can be faster because it's closer together. I don't know. Ceramicspeed bottom bracket, pretty sick. I'm really looking forward to see how it works. In the hand, it spins already pretty nicely, in my opinion. Of course, also original bearings from Campagnolo, they spin incredibly nicely. The Super Record cold bearings, of course. Those from Ceramicspeed are even more expensive. Original cold Campagnolo bearings, they retail for something over $200, and those right here are 380 Swiss francs retail price here in Switzerland. I don't know how much it will be in your country. So pretty expensive. Let's see what they can do. I am really looking forward to it. Drive side is ready. Non-drive side will be more special. Maybe I'll do a video on that if I have time, but maybe I don't have, because we have the left side actually cut down because our client is a leg amputee. This is a special case and we are really happy to do it. Let me know if you have any experience with Ceramicspeed bearings in general, or maybe bottom brackets, and leave all the comments in the section below. I'll be happy to read them, and I guess I'll see you in the next one.